back to the channel. It's Marika and I'm here with my aunt. Yes, she's my aunt. She's not my mom. I know we look alike. But this is my aunt. She was also my labor and delivery nurse, and we are here for part 2 of my Life After Labor series sponsored by Pampers. Thank you, Pampers, so much for sponsoring this video. And here is the message from our sponsor.
Thank you, Pampers, for partnering with me to bring joy back into pregnancy and beyond through my Life After Labor series. In America, Black moms are 3 times more likely to suffer from life-threatening complications, and 60% of these outcomes are preventable. Because of these outcomes, Black mothers such as myself fear labor and do not get to experience the full joy of motherhood. Pampers is here to change that. Pampers believes every mom is entitled to experience the full joy of pregnancy, postpartum, and beyond. Pampers has taken action for Black moms by spreading awareness, providing implicit bias training to medical professionals, and sharing the stories of Black mothers. That is why I am excited to partner with Pampers to continue to spread awareness through this series. If you would like to join Pampers by spreading awareness, share this video and check out the link in the description below for more resources on how to help. Thanks again, Pampers, for sponsoring this video.
Because I want to bring you guys into the labor and delivery room. Like I said in my previous video, a lot of moms, the first time that they step into a labor and delivery room, they are the ones giving birth. I was a birth photographer before I had my daughter, and then when I had my daughter, I had the amazing blessing to have my aunt as my labor and delivery nurse. So I kind of had an inside scoop on what to expect when I got to the hospital, which definitely eased my anxiety when it came to giving birth, especially for the first time. And so we are here to just kind of answer some of you guys' questions and bring you guys inside the room to ease your anxiety, or if you know any first-time moms or expecting moms who are also worried or scared to go to the hospital, this is the video for them. So Daphne, can you tell them first a little bit about who you are and your experience in the labor and delivery room or at the hospital?
I'm Daphne Justice. I've been a registered nurse, women's children's department for about 23 years.
My whole life. I'm 26. It's 27. I'm 27.
Currently do labor and delivery, and I've done postpartum and nursery and NICU. So kind of the whole realm there. Labor and delivery is a very exciting moment for a lot of moms, and we want to help ease that anxiety that a lot of them may have.
Can you tell us what laboring at home looks like and what that means for a first-time mom? Because I told you, and you kind of guided me through like when to come to the hospital and what to do at home.
Yes, that's a good question. We get a lot of phone calls for moms and they're trying to make the decision when to come to the hospital. And I just kind of always explain the 5-1-1 rule, which is having your contractions consistently every 5 minutes for about an hour, and they should last about close to 1 minute. Mm-hmm. So if you can kind of remember that rule during laboring, that may help to decide when you should come to the hospital. Laboring at home, it can last about 2 to 3 days. I remember you calling me and you were like, I'm feeling these contractions, and I said, okay.
And at first, I didn't even know if that's what I was feeling. That's why I called her. I was like, I think maybe this is what's going on, but I just went for a long walk outside. So am I like sore from the walk, or am I actually in labor?
That's kind of pre-labor. So you're in labor, but labor can last days, hours, and especially for a first-time mom, it could last a little while. So you can have some contractions, and they can be a little bit painful, but they're very spread out, far apart, not as consistent. Mm-hmm. Those are irregular, so you have a little time to spare at home.
One thing she mentioned about the 5-1-1 that helped me, because like that's not something we could keep up with mentally. So I had an app actually on my phone that was like a contraction timer. It told me like, hey, it's time to pack your bag, or hey, it's time to go to the hospital. And so when it told me on that third day, which was the day that we went to the hospital, by then couldn't even stay asleep. It was like waking me, my contractions were waking me up out of my sleep, and they were like not stopping. It was like coming back, and that's when I called her and I was like, okay, the app said go to the hospital, and she was like, okay, I think we should go to the hospital.
Which was a funny story because you called me like in the middle of the night, wasn't
it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
So I was aunt mode. I wasn't nurse mode at that time. So I said, what did your app say?
Yeah.
And I think that helped us both get up and get ready.
So that leads to my next question. So in the movies, and like we grow up and we watch TV, and like the mom was like, oh my gosh, my water broke, oh, we're on our way to the hospital, and then the baby just fly out. So can you explain what the process looks like when a mom is like, okay, I'm leaving my house, I'm going to the hospital? So what happens to get to the hospital? Because I think when we watch movies, we think everybody just show up and it's like, okay, let's have a baby. But I know that there were like little bitty steps like paperwork or whatever that we do before you get to your room. So can you walk a new mom through that and what that looks like?
Yes, all facilities are set up a little bit different, but most moms come through the labor and delivery department. They'll go to a triage area first where they'll be assessed. The labor will be assessed. They will have their cervix checked to see how far along they may have dilated. They'll get a couple of questions answered and asked to get their medical history and things like that, if we don't have any prenatal records or anything aboard. Mm-hmm. So that is important to allow us to see if you're in active labor, because sometimes some people may show up a little bit early, and if you're not having any complications, they'll have you labor at home until you're in active labor.
What's the best way? I know it's hard because you really don't know until you're in it, but like, what's the best way to describe when you're in active labor versus when you're not?
The way to describe when you're in active labor is the 511 rule.
Okay.
That kind of sets you apart, because you may have contractions here and there for about 15 minutes really strong, and then you may walk or whatever, and then they may go away.
Yep, that's what happened to me. Yeah.
Yes. And so if they're consistently for that hour, we say, go ahead and call your doctor, or go ahead and come in so you can be checked to see.
Okay, so the 511 kind of lets you know, like, okay, we're active, this is happening, we're having a baby soon. Can you share some medications that a woman can request before the epidural if they want to kind of labor naturally? What are some pain medications they can get to help them through that process? She gave me different meds that helped me labor naturally before I got the epidural. So I know every facility is different, but what are some medications you can recommend or mention so that the moms even know the names of them?
Mm-hmm. Each facility has different medications that they can give for a laboring mom. If a mom wants to delay having an epidural or request not to have an epidural, just know it's a personal preference. You can change your mind on either one at any time. I always tell my patients that we have IV medication, so that's the reason why you want to have an IV. So that's IV pain medication, a narcotic that we can give. It's short acting, so it doesn't act long, but it does kind of take away the pain for a little bit. It can be given throughout the different stages of the labor, but toward the end, you can't have any IV pain medication because we want you to be able to be alert, to be able to push the baby out, things like that. So you can have IV pain medicine. You also can have nitrous oxide, which is like laughing gas. So that's another option if your facility offers that you can have. It's not as effective, but it does dull the pain. That can kind of get you carried on to get your dilation and everything if you opt not to have the epidural. I always ask moms the reasons for them not wanting to have an epidural because of the stigma attached to it. If they've had family members that said this happened to them with their epidural and this and that epidural. I just like to kind of lessen their anxiety about the word epidural because a lot of people are afraid because of something that's going in their back. You have that option to ask all of those questions, whatever myths that are attached to them. You can talk to the anesthesiologist before you get that done. And just know that the epidural is probably the most effective pain medication.
It is. I semi have a fear of needles. Like, I'm not fully scared of them because I have tattoos and I have piercings and I can get a shot. But like, just the thought of it going right in my back, I was like, I don't know about that. And so then you hear like people have back problems after or whatever. So it was like, those are the things that were running through my mind. But once you like at almost 8 centimeters, I was like, please somebody help me, please.
You want that pain to be taken care of.
And it was like, after you felt an 8 centimeter contraction, that getting the epidural didn't feel like, I was like, why didn't I start here?
And I just want to also add that a lot of people think there is a cutoff time of when you can't have an epidural. It really depends on how fast your labor is and if you can sit still during an epidural. So you can be 8 to 9 centimeters and still have an epidural if you can sit still.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long, maybe like 10, 15 minutes.
And not even.
Not even.
Can you go over, okay, so I know a lot of women are also kind of hesitant about being induced and getting Pitocin. There's like a lot of fears around Pitocin making the labor more painful for the mom or rushing. Can you go over what an induction means and what that looks like for a mom?
Yes. You went into labor naturally. I'll just start off like that. And I didn't have to give you Pitocin throughout your entire labor at all. So you did it naturally at a hospital, in a hospital setting. So to start off with an induction, whether it be medically necessary or you've gone over your due date or whatever reason you've talked to with your physician, the induction does require you to get the oxytocin or the Pitocin to jumpstart your labor. So that also comes with your contractions not being as natural. They're going to be a little bit stronger and a little bit harder. Once we get a good contraction pattern and get a consistent contraction going and you're getting some dilation, Pitocin doesn't have to be that enormous of an amount. So an induction is a little bit harder because we are putting your body into labor. Sometimes for some people, all they need is a little jump start and then your body will naturally take over and be in labor. But for some people, depending on how many weeks you are or whatever medical things you have going on, then you may need that Pitocin. So sometimes, most of the time, those people need some type of pain control.
Can you explain to the moms what role does the nurse play? Because I don't think a lot of moms realize how much time they're going to spend with the nurse and when exactly their doctor comes into the room. So can you go over like when the doctor actually comes in and how long or what role the nurse plays in the room?
Yes. Your primary nurse is probably going to be the most important person in your room. You're going to build a relationship with her. You're going to get a good rapport. And that person helps you make decisions on what you would like during your labor and your delivery. She keeps close contact with the doctor, your physician, or if there's a doctor that is on call for your physician. So your doctor is not in the building, but he or she is very aware of what is going on with your labor. The doctor doesn't really come to the hospital
Until the very
until you are pushing and you are about to deliver your baby.
Yeah, because one thing that I remember before I had Ray, when I was a photographer, I was in a room with the mom, and this is when I kind of also was like, when does the doctor come? Because when I was in the room, we're getting ready, the nurse was like, okay, put your legs up, we're gonna do some like practice pushes and like get you to a certain point. And the mom kind of started to freak out because she was like, why are we pushing? Where is the doctor? Like, I don't want to push with just the nurse. But a lot of people don't know that the nurse kind of is with you during the beginning of the pushing process, really until the baby's head is like crowning and about to pop out. That's when the doctor comes in. And I remember the next time I took pictures, the next mom, she was like, we're about to start pushing. I was like, it's okay, the doctor's gonna come in later. Like, this is normal.
Yes.
She was like, oh, okay. But like, they really don't know that that's how it works.
Yes, those nurses are trained and skilled. They've done this hundreds of times, and they're trained and skilled to get you different positions. Your nurse plays a vital role during that process, and the doctor does make it. Sometimes they may not make it, but if they don't make it, your nurse is still trained to deliver your baby. But we don't want that.
Yeah, no, we don't. She almost delivered my baby, but it was close. It was a close call. But I also want to ask about different pushing and different like laboring positions. One thing that I thought was pretty cool, and I know every hospital is different, but when I was contracting in labor, I was actually on a wireless monitor, so I was able to move about the room and like stand up and sit on a ball or use a peanut. I don't think I used the peanut, but sitting on the ball and just moving around. Can you kind of explain like different methods within the hospital that can also help with contracting and I guess laboring in different ways besides just laying there?
Yes, some hospitals also provide the wireless monitoring for the baby. That allows moms to get up, to move around, sit on the ball, labor that way. That way they're not confined to the bed. The only thing that, is important to remember that once you get your epidural, then you're more confined to the bed. You can't get up and move around and things like that. So yeah, they do have wireless monitoring. During the pushing stages, there's several different ways and positions you can push. And of course, they are according to, how well you can move around in the bed.
I think we pushed with me, I was like on the side a little bit.
We did some side pushing.
Because like directly on the back, it was kind of like she had to get over a little bit, and then as soon as I turned to the side, it was like, okay, we gotta call the doctor. She like about to slide out. So yeah, I remember moving over.
Yes, so we did side pushing with you. They have bar, they have the towel method where it's kind of like a tug of war
with
type.
The nurse.
Yes, okay. You got some side pushing. They have hands, knees pushing, squatting. Those things are available, and also having those positions discussed with your physician.
As we all know, in America, the statistics for African American women is drastically different than any other woman here in America. We are more likely to suffer from life-threatening issues when it comes to laboring in a hospital. And I know that when we go to the doctor's office, we are mainly discussing these things with our doctor, but as we already discussed, the doctor doesn't show up to the very last second. So how can a black mom ensure that their birth plan is being heard with the nurse that is assigned to their room?
That's a good question. Actually encourage moms to have some type of birth plan. And a birth plan doesn't have to be complex. It can be as simple as I want an epidural, I don't want an epidural.
Okay.
So it's just whatever she wants on her list of things that she would like that's available for her during labor or during delivery. I say bring that with you. Have it printed out. That way you and the nurse can go over those things, and she can go over each one, have a plan for you. Some things may need to be changed a little bit on there. After having that discussed with the nurse, you may want to change your plan during that, and that's totally okay. So I do encourage them to bring those birth plans. The only thing I'd like for a lot of moms to have is an open mind and be flexible with their birth plan.
Okay. But I know a lot of African American moms also bring people with them to the room, or a lot of moms do, whether it's their spouse, their family member, sister, brother. How can the person in the room also be of an assistance during the labor and delivery process?
That is very important to a mom, especially if she's a new mom, to have a family member or a spouse or a significant other, partner in the room with them. They play an important role too. They help them with different positions, breathing techniques. Just having someone, your loved one, being a good support person lessens your anxiety. I always say have, someone that's dedicated to being there throughout the entire process. According to your facility, you may have one or two partners according to what's going on now, because sometimes there's a lot of changes. But that person helps out a lot. They go get you ice chips. They make sure that your music that you're playing is on. If you like certain scents brought, some aromas, they make sure that is available. And I really like having the partners there because we build a rapport. It's kind of like now we're the new family for you. Having that interaction going back and forth with the partners is important, because I may need them to do a lot of things for me, and they're very helpful.
Yeah, I had my baby naturally. I had a vaginal birth, and so I'm not quite sure what the C-section process looks like. Can you kind of go over what it may look like for a mom if she has to have a C-section, and what that part of giving birth is like for a C-section mom?
Sometimes there may be a part in labor that doesn't agree with the baby, or you may have been pushing for several hours at a time, and we realize the baby's not going to come through the birth canal naturally. So whether it's an emergency or just to help with getting the baby delivered, we may have to do a C-section. We discuss that with the mom. We make sure she's okay with that. You know, she's agreed. She understands the reasons why we may need to do a C-section. The doctor comes and visits and has that talk with her beforehand. You get to talk to the anesthesiologist. They go over the pain control, so you're at ease on what to expect from that. We get you ready and get you prepped for the C-section. One person is allowed to go back to your C-section for your operation, your support person, as long as it's probably not an emergency. So that person is there for support. So you have a team of people in the operating room, you know, people for the baby, people for you, your anesthesiologist, your partner, your nurse. So you have a team of people that are there that will help you during that operation and having that C-section. And then once your baby is out, you get to meet your baby, and you just have that recovery period to look forward to.
With laboring and preparing for the hospital, you watch all these videos on like what to pack, what to bring, what to put in your bag, pack snacks, pack this type of candle or whatever. So out of all the things you've seen, all the labors, what is it that you would recommend that you actually bring to the hospital, or what do you think?
People like to bring ton of suitcases and things like that, and I said the number one thing you should bring is an outfit for your baby to take home. That's probably the number one thing you can bring. So other things that you may want to bring is like your favorite gown or your favorite slippers. Anything that will make you feel comfortable, kind of like a home away from home, because you're welcoming this new baby, and you just want to be at ease and happy. So even like a photo, people probably don't think about this, but even a photo of you and your family, you can bring that, and that just kind of incorporates your little family that you've just created. So yeah,
I think I brought way too many outfits. I was just changing her just to take a picture of her. I brought like,
and that's fine
outfits
too. That's totally okay. Yeah, that's cool too.
So as we wrap up this video, I just wanted to ask one last question. What is a after labor meal, or one of the best after labor meals that you've seen someone order, or that you wish someone would have ordered after they gave birth in the hospital?
I do believe that a mom should have like whatever she wants after she delivers. People ask me that all the time, and I say, go for whatever you want after you have your baby. I really like the steak and potato and a side salad as your celebratory meal.
I had Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so you can have your, you know, steak and potatoes, your favorite, or your favorite chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, whatever she wants to eat. I always just kind of say, take in mind that if you're breastfeeding or nursing or something, you may want to stay away from, you know, broccoli or any spicy foods or anything like that, or caffeine or something.
And why is that?
Just because your baby gets those ingredients also, and sometimes it can be a little bit more colicky or something like that.
So that is it for this part of the series. I want to thank my aunt so much for coming along and answering the questions for you guys. And as you guys know, there is a third part of this series, because I also want to bring you guys along for what postpartum looks like after you give birth at the hospital and when you bring that baby home. There are so many overwhelming, mentally, emotionally, physically, just so many different changes happening to you once you get home. So I kind of want to go through that in part 3 of the video. So if there's any questions you may have regarding postpartum, let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. And thank you again, Pampers, for sponsoring this video.